Du stehst neben mir, doch du wendest dich von mir ab. Blicke treffen sich, doch Worte werden nicht gesagt. Es ist noch nicht vorüber, so viele Worte nicht gesagt, so viel noch nicht besprochen, so viele Taten nicht getan. So viele Taten nicht getan. So viele Taten nicht getan. Du liegst da neben mir, doch du drehst dich auch nicht um. Blicke treffen sich, doch die Blicke bleiben stumm. Es ist noch nicht vorüber, so viele Worte nicht gesagt, so viel noch nicht besprochen, so viele Taten nicht getan. 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 Wenn der Sturm verhallt, doch innerlich da kocht die Wut. Alles ist ganz kalt, doch innerlich da kocht die Wut. Es ist noch nicht vorüber, so viele Worte nicht gesagt, so viel noch nicht besprochen, so viele Taten nicht getan. 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 So viele Taten nicht getan.
Hello my friends, operator.starsky here. Please let me know if you can hear me well, okay? Because I can see that there is a sound. Thank you so much for your beautiful words. Thank you for your condolences. I just learned about it a couple hours ago, but still cannot truly believe that it happened. Because, you know, on the war, we always acquire good friends. When you go to the war, when you're deployed, we always acquire good friends, but only some of them become truly brothers. And this was exactly the case because this guy, we served in the same battalion since 2015. Since the very first days, all our first deployments were together, and I will tell you the story, okay? Because, you know, I started digging my pictures on the phone, and unfortunately, I don't have a lot of them because all of my archive from the battalion, I have no idea where it is. As we say in the army, it's in the land of the forgotten things. But all this started back in the days, back in 2015, when I was just a humble cop. You probably know this. And the dude who took this photo was actually Vlad. His name is Vlad. And this photo that you've seen on the intro, that is either from Krasnohorivka or from Kurakhova, and you can see us from behind, but we are on the patrol, and on my back, I'm on the left, obviously, because the guy with the hair is on the right. That's Vlad. And behind my back, on my butt, actually, you can see that bag for disposed magazines, for empty magazines. And that bag was usually full of candy for the kids. And I would also put my tablet in there because I always had my tablet with me. And when we were on a patrol, I would often play the March of the Empire from the Star Wars. I don't know, I thought it was cool. But let me start from the very beginning. Okay, year 2015, we were just a couple of humble cops in Kiev. We just joined the battalion. We passed the selection program. We finished school for cops, right? And we became cops in the battalion. First months were not really interesting, not much to talk about. I think first couple of months. And we instantly became friends, instantly. I have no idea why. And just so you could understand what kind of person Vlad really was. He always smiled. He was extremely friendly to everybody. He was overly friendly because he actually, his father, I think, was also a cop or something. He never thought about becoming a cop himself, but he joined, obviously, because Russia launched the hybrid invasion of Donbass and the next Crimea. And he comes from a rich family, but his salary and my salary as well back in those days was something between 40 and 70 bucks as far as I remember. So again, he didn't join police because of money. Obviously, nobody did. We volunteered because we wanted to defend Ukraine. And that battalion, Kiev 1, was specifically created from former protesters at the Revolution of Dignity and policemen, experienced policemen, actually people who fought each other during the revolution, and then we both joined to fight against Russian aggression. And Vlad was extremely friendly, extremely open person, always smiled. He was the sweetest dude you can imagine, because obviously this is how you make friends, or this is how you manipulate people, right? You smile, you are completely open and friendly, and generally speaking, Vlad was the guy that you literally want to hug when you feel bad, like Max, my Max. But you want to just hug him because he will absorb all of the negative energy coming from you. He was that kind of person. When you feel bad, he goes like, and he knows when you feel bad, and he goes like, hey brother, let's talk, come on, what happened, don't be so sad, everything will be fine, you know, that kind of person. And we had one deployment to Odessa back in 2015. Still in Odessa, there was this massive pro-Russian movement for obvious reasons, and we were used there. It wasn't the front line, but the situation with Russian separatists and Russians themselves was really bad. There were many cases when different strategic objects were attacked. There were cases when volunteer stations used by volunteers to gain, organize, and disseminate their goods to different Ukrainian units. They were also attacked and burned. There were attacks using Molotov cocktails, basically sabotage, and basically this is why we were also involved in this counter-terrorist operation there back in 2015. But generally, again, not too much action. Several guys detained, several guys captured, several guys beaten, and not more than that. Then we passed selection to the Special Force company in the Special Force Battalion that was prepared to go to Donbass. We already had a company that was operating there, and the Ministry of Interior decided to increase our presence there in the Sector B of the anti-terrorist operation, so-called Sector B. That is Kurakhove, Marinka, Krasnohorivka, Avdiivka, those directions. And we passed this absolutely crazy selection program. We had to run a lot. We had to basically show that we can survive, because we were preparing groups that will be operating together with the aerorozvedka, air reconnaissance. Back in those days, we only started using drones for surveillance, for reconnaissance, for that sort of missions. And our group was prepared to escort those guys to the territory that might be dangerous to operate, because again, back in those days, it's 2015, and drones were not as powerful as today. They didn't have such a long range. And we were prepared to... Did you guys manage to arrest Russian? Yeah, all the time. All the time. There were not much protests, but there were a lot of those people, and we will talk about them. So our group was being prepared, and we passed, again, selection program within our battalion to select like the best of the best who could go there in the new company. And Vlad was with me, of course. Almost everybody passed back then, because our battalion consisted of strong guys, endurant guys that could operate in harsh environments. And almost everyone passed, except for two guys. One of them was really big. He went with us, but he went with us as a military psychologist, because he had education, but he didn't participate much in the operations, in the patrols. And we went with Vlad as well. Again, we were always together because for some reason we found the same language. I'm not sure how to say it. He had a very hard story, of very hard personal story, because his girl, the girl that he dated before the Russian hybrid aggression, like 2012, 2013, she was in Donetsk. She lived in Donetsk. And when Russians launched their hybrid invasion, they basically captured Donetsk, and there was no way for him to go there, and there was no way for her to go to Kiev, and they couldn't meet for years or something like that. And we had so many crazy stories together. That one, by the way, that one was no, this one was taken early 2015. We were used to patrol and guard several strategic objects in Kiev. I remember during one of the patrols, there was kind of small protest or meeting. I don't remember exactly. And one of the participants of that protest, some of the civilians, he saw us, and on every meeting or every protest, you always have that kind of citizens, that want to talk, but they can't really find a victim, because usually when you are overly communicatable, people tend to run away from people like you. And he suddenly spots us sitting like near that place where that meeting was taking place. And sitting there, I think I was smoking or something, and he decides to come up to us and talk to us, and he asks some specific question that, like, I cannot even tell you how those words sounded like, because I think if you're economist you would understand, but I'm not an economist. I rarely hear that kind of speech. And he wanted to ask us, like, what do we think about President Poroshenko, who decided to implement those changes in the legislation because they might result in something bad. And the guys look at him, including Vlad. Well, Vlad is like, he always smiles, but I see that he's confused. Other guys are like, the hell are you talking? Like, what the hell was that? And I'm calmly smoking because I know that kind of people. I'm like, well, I think that is a kind of message that we cannot really understand because we don't really know all the details. Basically, it's like Cohen. Do you know what Cohen is? And the dude who, like, he obviously asked this question to make fun, like, of stupid cops who don't understand, like, anything, And he's like, what? I'm like, koan. It's from Japanese culture. Koan is a question that doesn't have an answer. For example, how to clap using one hand, and things like that. And maybe the president is sending us the same message. He's trying to make us enlightened, make us better people, you know? And the dude just looks at me and goes, well, okay, guys, I see that you don't understand anything. And he just walks away. The guys look at me and they're like, what the hell were you just talking about? It was kind of fun. And Boris then took this picture because we went to the kiosk and had some really, really fun cocktail made out of coffee and ice cream and something like that. Anyways, we went on a deployment after that training that I told you about. Again, it was an absolutely crazy experience. I was buried in a pit with ants, and I told you about that, I believe. I was buried in a pit. It was in frames of a training. We were learning how to work on checkpoints, how to check the cars, how to talk to the people, to the citizens, how to check citizens, what things were suspicious or considered suspicious, and things like that, how to cover each other when somebody checks a person or a car, where other guys must be, what they should look at, and things like that. And I was buried in a pit with ants because I needed to stay in the same spot without moving, and I had to count people who would pass by, and that was my task. And the task of those people was to actually find me, and Vlad was among those. Was kind of fun because those ants, I was like lying in that pit like an embryo, I was buried there under like branches and all kinds of stuff that my friend, another friend who died, Sasha, who threw on me. And I realized that there were two types of ants, red ones and black ones, and they decided to fight on me. That was crazy. That was absolutely insane. And Vlad was among those guys who had to find me. It was a funny training because they didn't find me. I had to expose myself in the end. And basically then we went on a deployment together, and that's us in Kurakhova, basically. The Kurakhova, the same Kurakhova that is currently occupied. And that is behind us, there is a very famous car, because that car, in the beginning, it belonged to one of the volunteers who delivered all sorts of supplies. He delivered supplies to us, and then that volunteer decided to join our battalion as well, and he became basically our colleague. And his car was covered with signs and autographs from soldiers from all around the front line. He was everywhere. He visited every single frontline city. I believe maybe not all of the positions, logically, because it's impossible. There are a lot of them, but most of them. And his car was covered in those autographs and signs. And I think that his car, there's a question in the chat, by the way. I think that his car is in the museum right now. I'm not sure, but that guy, he talked about it. He said that he will get a new car, and this car will be given to the museum in Kiev. But I never checked. Maybe in the future I will tell you exactly. And that's basically us preparing to go somewhere. We would go on a patrol almost every day. We would go to Krasnohorivka, we would go to Mariinka. That is already after the counterattack in Mariinka, when Russians lost quite a few of their orcs because they first decided to attack Mariinka and occupy it, and then we counterattacked my battalion too, my guys. We counterattacked together with the National Guard, by the way. And by the way, during that operation, my commander of a brigade, of my brigade in the National Guard, he was there with us as well, because he was also in the National Guard. We were all working together with the armed forces, and I didn't know, but he was also there with us in Mariinka, only in a different unit. We met twice before the brigade in HOSTOMEL with my commander, Colonel Muropolsky. First time we met in 2001, I was throwing stones at him. And second time, in Mariinka, we were shooting Russians together. And third time, of course, already in the brigade. So life is fucking crazy, my friends. So we were going on patrols, we were going on different missions, we were going to check some people, you know, some people were reported as being as having connections with Russian terrorists. We had to check them. We had to check like apartments or houses, whether or not they hide something. One time, we, together with Vlad, we went to so in Krasnohorivka, there was a guy, ethnic Russian, who lived in Ukraine since 2008. And we had information that that dude, during those events, because again, Krasnohorivka was occupied in 2014, later liberated by us, and we had reports that the dude was spotted previously on a Russian checkpoint. So he was literally patrolling the Russian checkpoint. So we decided to check him out. And we went there, me, Vlad, and our company commander and two other guys, to basically grab this guy and ask him questions. When we arrived, it was like a country house, like a cottage, okay? In the yard of this cottage, we found his wife and her kids drinking with his ex-wife and her kids, and somebody, probably like a friend or a lover, with her kids. And they were all sitting in the yard and drinking together. Krasnohorivka was an insane place, okay? A crazy place. I don't know how to describe it better. And this dude was nowhere to be found. You ask them questions and they go like, we don't know where he is, which means they do, of course. So we found the dude sitting in the attic, hiding in the attic, obviously. I have no idea how he realized that we're coming after him, but he decided to hide on the attic, and we found him. We found just a couple of AK rounds, 5.45, just a couple of them, but literally you could find them anywhere. You would literally go into some kind of orchard and you would find either round cases or rounds, like live rounds. So it wasn't really a surprise, nothing, you know, we would not arrest people there for like finding 1, 2, 3 rounds in their pockets, because like They lived there, and you could see that literally scattered on the streets since Russian occupation, 2014. So we brought that dude to our place, and we started interrogating him, and he denied everything. The only document he had with him, the only ID, was expired piece of paper like this, okay? Expired piece of paper. That was a temporary temporary identification of a citizen of Russian Federation, which served as his document that would work in Russia. As for Ukrainian documents, he didn't have any at all. Only that shit that expired in like 2008. How did he get to Ukraine? I have no idea, but he denied everything. We started asking him, we said like, okay, you've been seen here and here. You were spotted wielding a rifle and things like that, and he denied everything. And then we're like, we know that you have friends in Donetsk, we know that they come from this and this battalion. He's like, no, my friends, I've been set up, I live here, yes, I come from Russia, but I live here, this is my place, I didn't do anything wrong. So later we brought him to the guys from the security service of Ukraine. They literally checked his phone. It took them 2 minutes to find that he's been talking to people in Donetsk every single evening, and he was literally coordinating artillery strikes on our positions, because our positions were also in Krasnohorivka. There were armed forces, there were cops, there were National Guardsmen, so he coordinated artillery strikes on those positions and basically acted as a spy. Yeah, and Vlad was like, did you see how convincing he was? He was literally swearing on the grave of his mother that he's a good guy. And well, of course, because when you work as a cop, you must understand that you should always check information. You should never trust people's words just like that. You gotta always check information, especially if it's coming from Russians, especially from Russians with like, you know, expired whatever. And besides Marinka, besides Krasnohorivka, we also patrolled Kurakhove, where we were based. And Kurakhove, back in those days, you would consider it, it would be like Bakhmut in 2021, you know, when you have Svetlodarsk Bulge, where you have Frontline coming through places like Dolomitne, Zaitsevo, Travnevo, my god, Mironivske. And Bakhmut was like 10 kilometers away from the front line, so it was an oasis, a very safe place where you would rest and go buy yourself some kebab and stuff like that. And of course, we also patrolled that place. And this photo, for example, yeah, this photo. This photo was taken in Kurakhove. On that very day, when we had to fight those two drunk idiots, that is, this photo was taken literally 30 minutes before that disgraceful fight that we had. And I'm sure that I already told you about it, but again, because tonight we're talking about Vlad, I gotta repeat it one more time. We were patrolling in the Kurakhove downtown. They have this absolutely beautiful alley, and it looked very, very cute. There were a lot of flowers, going along this valley, and a lot of benches, kids, mamas with kids, drunk people, having good time and things like that. And we were patrolling that area as well. And I say, and we were already on our way to the base when I say, Vlad, let's go to the end of this valley, just in case, because nothing was happening. We went, again, we violated the rules because usually we go, like 3 men should go on a patrol. There were 2 of us this time. I don't remember why, but it was long. We were freezing, we were tired, we were hungry, of course, and we were on our way to the base. And I said, okay, Vlad, let's check the end of this valley just in case, because I know that there is a bench where drunk people used to hang out. Let's just check it to be, sure that everything's fine. And Vlad is like, oh my God, okay, let's go. And we go, to the end of this valley to check if everything is fine. I see a dude, but everything's cool. It's evening. On the photo, it's kind of dark, but in reality, it wasn't really dark. It was like evening, not late evening even. It was September, November, I don't know, maybe September, October. But it was kind of cold on that day, and it was, drizzle, like not rain, but something like that. But there were kids playing, their parents drinking, like it always happens in the Donbass. And I see a guy who literally stands up from his bench and walks up to the tree. There was this big corn tree, Christmas tree, growing there. And he literally starts peeing there under the tree. And there's like kids around him, women, children, pedestrians. And he literally starts peeing there because he's drunk. And I'm like, oh my God, dude, come on, why did you do that? Literally, it was supposed to be the end of the shift. So I literally walk up to him and I push him and I go, dude. And he's like, hey, give me a second, I'm like, whoa, dude, what the hell? So he turns around and he sees us, and we're cops, obviously. But because he's drunk, he's very aggressive, and it looks like he wants to start a fight, And of course, he starts shouting. He starts shouting that we are like foreigners from Kiev, right? Who came to the Donbass, and like dictating our rules, etc., etc. And like the very verbal fight was extremely silly, and it wasn't worth anything, because I tried to tell him that, dude, there is a toilet, you can just use that one, it's public, it's always open, instead of doing this. I'm doing my job as literally a patrol cop. So if he said, for example, if he would say that, okay, officer, I understand, I'm sorry, goodbye, I would say goodbye and I would never see him again. But he starts provoking the fight. Crowd is gathering around us, and Vlad is like standing besides me. Again, there's only 2 of us. We were supposed to be like trio, but we were duo. And he stands beside me. I'm talking to the guys, and they start provoking fight, gathering crowd. Crowd starts protecting those idiots and stuff. And then in the end, he says something very, very silly. It was 30 minutes after our encounter, right? 30 minutes after that. He says something very, very silly. And please let me know in the chat what do you think about those words that he speaks to an armed policeman. He says, "You are idiots because you haven't even searched me because I can be armed." He says to me directly. So, how do you think, what was our reaction? Of course, our reaction is apparently he tried to go to a better place. So my reaction, I chamber the round and I tell him to stand on his knees, hands behind his head, and let me search him. Okay? Two things happen. First thing is his friend, and that dude was kind of big. I'm not a big dude. Neither was Vlad, as you can tell from the photo. He was like my size, right? That dude was big, but he had even a bigger friend, and he was even more drunk. And he had this very specific tattoo of air assault forces. So apparently he served there somewhere. Two things happen. First, his friend starts running towards me, shouting, "Don't shoot my buddy!" And second thing, his buddy, who told me that he can be armed, instead of doing what I ask him, he puts his hand behind his back and tries to pull something. And that is a moment when I realize I have like two choices, literally. One choice, I'm aiming my rifle at him. I can literally shoot him. Yeah, that's his Spetsnaz, exactly. That dude was from the Spetsnaz, the guys who drink and swim in the fountains and break plastic bottles over their heads. I had two choices. One choice is literally make a lot of holes in this dude and protect myself, because he was literally trying to pull out a weapon, which I didn't know if it was there. Second choice, because I didn't know if it was there, I could use my pepper spray. Risking my own life, because if he has a handgun, then he can kill me, right? But what I do is, of course, I pull out my pepper spray and I spray the dude. But the problem was, because my pepper spray, because it was dark and I pulled out the pepper spray very fast and, started like pressing it. Ellie, we didn't know what taser even was. We were Ukrainian cops, come on. We knew what RPG was and how to use it, but taser, no, it's a different thing. So I'm spraying the guy, but the problem is the nozzle of the spray looks over there. So instead of spraying the guy, I'm spraying Vlad, who stands behind my right shoulder. And at first, I didn't realize what happened until I hear like Vlad coughing. And then I turn it properly and I spray the dude. Of course, dude didn't have anything. He just pretended that he was pulling the handgun to say bang, literally. But tell me, how stupid is that? You see an armed cop and you say, you didn't search me, I can be armed. And then you pretend that you have a gun. I had 100% right to literally make holes in this idiot and nothing would happen to me because there are witnesses. Everybody would, and I also had a camera. Everybody would confirm that the dude threatened me that he could have a weapon. Literally, the dude was freaking crazy. As well as myself, because instead of doing that, I used the tear gas. So, the big guy is running towards me, wiggling his arms, apparently trying to fight or something. Vlad, who's literally crying there, and he cannot see well because it was a really strong gas, actually. He's crying, he cannot see well, his whole face is swollen instantly. But what he does, he intercepts a big dude and he throws him on the ground because Vlad, besides being an extremely sweet person, he was also very, very good at wrestling. He was like I don't remember, judo or sambo, something like that. He knew wrestling. He had a rank, a dan, qualification, generally speaking. So he grabs the dude and he throws him on the ground while he's running towards me. And I call the support, and the guys arrive, and we bring those idiots to the police station, and I'm writing a report. And then his father arrives to the police station, and the guys call me to talk to his father, the father of this idiot who was kind of armed, right? So I see like a common guy, 50, 60 years old, gray hair, like a common dude in Ukraine. You throw a stone in a Ukrainian crowd, you would most probably hit somebody like that. Don't throw stones in Ukrainian crowds, please. And he's standing there, and I walk to him, and I'm like, I'm Officer Kulish. We had such and such situation. Your son did that and that. Nothing would happen. He had all rights to go away. I would not even issue an administrative warning to him because literally it made absolutely no sense. But he pretended that he had weapons. That's why he doesn't look very well. And of course, because there was such a situation, of course, I had right to shoot him, which I didn't. I use the tear gas. That's why you can go and pick your son. I'm not going to issue anything, against your son. And the dude literally shakes my hand and says, thank you so much for your service. I know that my son is like a crazy person because, when he retired from army, he started drinking and doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And therefore, I'm very, very sorry for him. I say, sir, everything's fine. Just make sure that he won't do that again, because some other officer will definitely shoot him, okay? In such situation, because that was extremely stupid. Extremely stupid and dangerous to himself on the first place. It wasn't PTSD because, as far as I realize, this dude served literally as a conscript. It was a draft service where he shot 3 rounds during his 1.5 years of service, and the biggest PTSD he could have is probably drinking too much with, I don't know, his friends when he's home. So it wasn't PTSD. And so the dude takes his son back home. His son cannot see well because his face doesn't look very attractive after the tear gas and beating against an asphalt when he fell down. So, yeah, happens. And we walk to the base, and Vlad still cries, still crying, still sobbing a bit. And he goes, shit, Jedi was my nickname, call sign. He was like, Jedi, I freaking hate you. But at the same time, I had my nose blocked because he had a cold back then, on that very day. He's like, I had a nose blocked, severely blocked. I couldn't breathe through my nose. But now it's kind of fine. Like, the tear gas cleaned everything, For some reason, I don't know how it works. So it was funny. And then Vlad captured that dude. So the other time we were on a patrol on a car, and sometimes you just trust your intuition. When on a patrol, you just trust your inner feelings, right? And Vlad is like, that dude looks freaking I cannot explain this, but he does, okay? And I'm like, all right, let's check him. So we stop the car, we check the dude. Opening his sinuses. Yeah, tear gas sometimes work, especially if it's Terran 4M. Terran 4M, that was the tear gas that was issued to the policeman back in those days. What lightsaber color would you choose? Pink. Pink would do, definitely. It would not be very useful, but would definitely attract some attention. Not green, because I am sick of green. I was wearing green for 10 years. We stop the car, and Vlad walks up to that guy and starts talking to him. And we check his phone, and of course the dude says, I'm local here. One of the most interesting things about locals, when you ask them simple questions, they just don't reply. Simple question sounds like this: sir, where do you live? If you have a bit more IQ than a fucking seashell, usually you would say, I live at Ust-Pizdyuska Street 21, apartment number 5, right? Because, this is what I want to know. Maybe because I want to just check if you know information that is written in your passport, right? I just want to check. I have this right to ask you this. In Krasnohorivka, or Kurakhova, when you ask somebody, sir, where do you live? The answer is usually, over there, right here, you see? Sir, where do you live? Here, over there. It was like that every single time. Vlad even joked that over there must be a name of a city or a street, because every single dude, you check their passports, they go like, where do you live? Right here, there, you see, over there. Oh my god. Anyways, we stop the guy, we check his address, he's like, I live right here. My friends, ask no more. We check his phone, and we discover something extremely interesting. I'm not sure if I showed you this photo. On this photo, you see this beautiful wedding in Donetsk, in the occupied Donetsk, because that above the door, that is not a national flag of Ukraine. Not at all. Okay. And in the middle, of course, you can see this very guy with his young bride, right? But on the left of this photo, you can see several extremely suspicious men, right? Extremely suspicious men, like this one, for example, one of the guests at the wedding. That is, again, that is not a flag of Ukraine on his arm. And that patch on his chest saying Spetsnaz, that is not something that we used in Ukraine as well, like for a while, okay? Since Soviet time. There were no Spetsnaz in Ukraine. Or, for example, this one, those guys. I know that I've shown those pictures before, but I just want to remind the whole story because actually Vlad participated in this. So those absolutely beautiful Russian men were obviously invited to his wedding, which raised several questions. Question number one, what the hell? Okay, which is a legit question, generally speaking, when you see that shit happening. So we start asking questions, and the dude cannot really reply. I had a different photo I forgot to include here, actually. Like that very guy holding a lot of money in his arms, and those are Russian money, Russian rubles. So obviously we ask him a lot of questions, and it turns out that his mother works as a chief doctor in the Donetsk hospital, and she serves all kinds of Russians, right? Those that idiots like Tucker Carlson and let's say Douglas McGregor call Russian-speaking Ukrainians, right? Russian-speaking Ukrainians, my ass. Ukrainians in Donbass speak Russian, that's why they wanted to become Russians very much. Yeah, sure. Ukrainians. Russian-speaking Ukrainians. I don't want to even mention stupid people today, okay? Trump telling bullshit all evening. Douglas McFuckers and everybody else. It's not their day. So this dude cooperated with us because he decided that it's better to cooperate with your motherland than check out the jail from the inside. But it was an interesting experience. And I talked to Vlad. Vlad was so sad. Like, we were talking to the guy, we were like interrogating him. He was answering the questions like, this is this guy, this is that guy. And Vlad stopped talking to him. He was like standing behind me and he looked very, very sad. And I go, bro, what happened? And he's like, that photo of his wedding, right? It just slightly destroyed me. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, my girl is there in Donetsk, and I haven't seen her for like 2 years already. And we text each other constantly, but we cannot see each other. Because Russian-speaking Ukrainians, right, decided to come to Ukraine for the first time in their lives. So there was that patrol, and after that, we returned back to Kiev. We go to this crazy selection program to Alpha, and Alpha is a special force unit in the security service of Ukraine, there was a selection program that none of us passed. We passed selection all kinds of selection programs in the special force battalion of the police, but those guys were absolutely different level, and we didn't pass. Only two guys passed, but they were not accepted later for reasons I don't know personally. Yeah, Vlad wasn't sad about this. He's like, I don't care. Okay, I will continue serving in the police. He liked this stuff. And later that very year, I passed selection program to my current brigade, and 3 months later, I joined the National Guard of Ukraine, and Vlad remained serving in the police, in the Kiev Police Regiment. Before it happened. So after that very encounter, we went to Verkhnyotoretsk, and Verkhnyotoretsk is like this very long village in the same sector, or was it like, I think it was the same sector, not far from us, not far from Avdiivka actually. We went to Verkhnyotoretsk and we were checking houses. It was like this massive filtration operation, searching for terrorists and people related to them. Everybody participated: Ministry of Interior, of course, National Guard, and army men as well. And we were literally checking house after house after house, several groups of our guys. And we were with Vlad, of course, right? Because we were always together, always. And we were checking house after house. And then commander of our company joins us, and we go to a specific household that we have information that those guys living there, they have connection, they have ties with the Russians on the other side. And our commander is like, I will go with you guys, just in case. And we open the door, and I can see that this huge dog, I think they call it Alibi or something, like big dog, and it starts barking at us. And our commander had this very, very special feature. He was extremely gentle, always smile. He would always smile. But inside of him, like, he was like Terminator, actually. Human on the outside, like soft, right? Smiling, polite. Steel on the inside. He would wake up 5 a.m. and freaking jog 20 kilometers and back just to wake up. So he enters, we enter the household, that big dog jumps at us, and our commander, without changing his face at all, he goes like, "The fuck are you barking at me? Shut up!" And the dog runs away. I'm like, how the hell did you do that? So we check out those guys, 2 women living there, I think sisters. They served in the medical service of the Russian Vostok battalion. And of course, they get detained. We receive all kinds of shit from their house, including Russian printed shit, Novorossiya, whatever. Their phones full of, pro-Russian pictures, videos made on the other side, etc., etc. So it was kind of fun. Us with Vlad, we witnessed how the commander was able to tame the dog. Whoever we told this story from the brigade, from the battalion, they would go, he can do much more than you think, guys. that dude is dangerous, for real. After that, we returned to Kiev, and when we were in Kiev, generally we would go either on a patrol, and we returned to Kiev. First thing that we do as soon as we return, we are sent to provide public security during a meeting. We just returned from Donbass. I think I didn't even have shower. I returned home. I changed my clothes and I went to this place to Maidan, and we spent some time there, and then we decided to take some coffee, and we go and buy coffee at the Maidan. Me, Vlad, and our third friend. And we returned back, and we see a bunch of teenagers, and the teenagers look at us, with such a despise, and they go, "You fucking cops, go to Donbass. Why don't you go to Donbass, cops? Why don't you defend your land in Donbass?" We just laughed. We just didn't say anything, okay? Because literally we just returned yesterday. So it was kind of fun. So after that, when we're in Kiev, we either go on a patrol or participate in events like this, public security, etc., etc. We never did riot control, never, because our battalion was considered partially voluntary, because 50% of the guys in our battalion, they were former activists at the Maidan, activists at the Revolution of Dignity. They volunteered. So Ministry of Interior would never send us to perform riot control. We were not riot police, right? But that day, they sent us just in case to the parliament, because there was a big protest under the parliament. And I was sent to the checkpoint because there were a bunch of checkpoints around Kiev. And generally, checkpoints shift at the checkpoint. It was extremely boring. It was boring. It was not interesting at all. And you would literally degrade there. If you were smarter, you would take a book with you or something else. If you were like me, you would just fall asleep and sleep 24 hours staying at the checkpoint doing nothing at all. It was boring. I'm sent there this day. The rest of the guys are sent to the other checkpoints, and majority of the guys go to the parliament because there was a protest action. I don't really remember what it was about, but it was. And Vlad goes to the commander and he says, "Can I go with Andrew?" I'm like, "Bro, go to the parliament. I know that you like, healthy activities on a fresh air, have fun." He's like, "No, I want to go with you, okay?" And he goes to the commander, "Well, if you find somebody to substitute yourself, then you can go." So he finds a guy who agrees to go to the parliament, and Vlad goes with me to the checkpoint. And we literally kill time at the checkpoint. There are patrol policemen together with us. We talk with the patrol policeman. We make a lot of selfies in the car and stuff like that. We do all kinds of crazy stuff there in order to kill time. Late in the evening, the guys call us and they say, "Guys, do you know what happened?" We're like, "What happened?" They go, "There's a protest next to the parliament of Ukraine, next to the Verkhovna Rada." people who protest start fighting with the police. Both parties scream Slava Ukraini, Heroям Slava, because this is Ukraine, right? The protesters like start beating the policeman and scream Slava Ukraini, and policemen like push them back with their shields and scream Heroям Slava, because this is Ukraine, guys. And all of a sudden, some of the protesters, because there were some veterans of like 2014, 2015, usually 2014, among the crowd were some people from ATO 2014. One of the protesters pulls a grenade, and it was a Russian RGO, and throws a grenade at the cops, and it's a combat Russian grenade. And the problem is it's an impact grenade, because, for example, when we're talking about RGN, I think. If we're talking about F1 and RGD, those are not impact grenades. Those detonate after 3-5 seconds, right? RGO, it was RGO because I know that it was a disaster on that day. So RGO is like a round grenade, and it's nasty. It's nastier than RGN because this is a defense grenade, which means that it has a bigger range. It makes more fragments. So the dude from the protesters pulls grenade, throws at the cops, and grenade explodes, killing 4 National Guardsmen. Some of those guys, as far as I remember, I can be wrong, but some of those guys were as young as like 18, 19 years because they were conscripts. They were drafted. So that is something that happened on that day when I was sent to the checkpoint instead of the parliament, and Vlad decided to go with me. However, in reality, he could be there. Unfortunately, those guys, there were so many wounded, because that very grenade, if you check it out, it's it looks nasty. It has a lot of, like those ribs that literally turn into a lot of tiny fragments when it explodes, and it's a nasty one. So a lot of guys were wounded, a lot of policemen, a lot of people, and National Guardsmen that were there under the parliament, and they were wounded really bad. But such things happen. So the dude who threw the grenade, he was arrested, he was put in jail, and I am not sure if... I think he's still there. I can check, but I think that he's still there. Because when the full-scale war started, 2022, I think in like 2023, our government took decision that people who were accused of like theft and not heavy crimes, they could participate in the defense of Ukraine, right? But people like convicted of robbery, murder attempt, terrorist acts, and things like that, they were not allowed to do that. In Russia, it's a different thing. Of course, in Russia, if you're a rapist, a maniac, whatever, you can, of course, go to front line in Ukraine, kill plenty of people, and return and continue doing what you do. But that dude, I think he's still in the jail because he committed a violent crime. Minor crimes, yes, OHMS, thank you so much. And we looked at each other with Vlad and we're like, that is insane. We could be there, actually. But luckily my guys were not injured. They were literally positioned a bit further from the parliament. Again, they had no idea what they were doing there at all, because generally speaking, even though we were cops and we were conducting the duties like other patrol cops, and our battalion was called Special Force Battalion of Patrol Service. Special Force Patrol Police Battalion. I'm not sure how to translate it properly. So we were like a patrol police, but we were also Special Force Battalion that participated in the anti-terrorist operation. Why did he do that? Well, he never admitted that he did. However, there's plenty of footage showing that it was actually him. So he was like, no, it wasn't me, it was a setup. But footage showed, I saw that footage, some of guys on the other side, the protesters, we are the same side, of course, but those guys, they tried to convince that no, it wasn't him, but it was obvious that it was him. Not like, I would not say that we were like elite, you know, like how to compare it. We did what the SWAT do, okay, and partially we did what like infantry does, or infantry reconnaissance. But I would not say that we were like elite of elite, like air assault troops, nothing like that. So I passed selection program to my brigade, and you know that part of the story. Vlad stayed in the police, and you know he started walking up the career stairs. And I know that I don't remember what rank he was, maybe captain as well, but in the police, the ranks are a bit different, because in the military, if you come to military as a sergeant, you're still accepted as a private. Okay, if you come to the military from the police as an officer, as like lieutenant or captain or something like that, you have to pass an exam, a commissioning process in the army, and then you are either confirmed that you keep your rank and you can become a military officer or not, right? Because those are different things. So he continued serving there, and SWAT team is an elite force. I agree on that. SWAT is special weapons and tactics. We had special tactics, I can confirm, but as for special weapons, oh my god, like look at this photo, for example. What kind of special weapons do we have? I have AKM 7.62 as well as Vlad, and I have a tear gas spray, and that's it. That's not special weapons, like just weapons. We were just WAT team, okay? Not SWAT, but WAT. Weapons and tactics. Deal with it. All right. What I know about Vlad was that he participated in Avdiivka, because Avdiivka was a nasty place before the full-scale invasion. There were several craziest spots at the front line in Ukraine back in those days. One, Svetlodarsk Bulge, where my brigade was deployed, and two is Avdiivka Pisky, not far from the Donetsk airfield. So in Avdiivka, there was a very small distance between us and orcs, and literally the guys were throwing grenades at orcs, and they were throwing grenades at them. So just so you could understand the distance. And Vlad would often come from such deployments having slight contusion, okay? And one of the recent, if not the most recent pictures that we had together was I was becoming a sergeant in my brigade, and I would not see my home in many months, not because I was deployed yet, right? But because I was spending all of my time in training. And we just returned from Yavoriv, from the military exercise with NATO, and Vlad decided to see me, and we had some coffee. I think it was like near the railway station. Maybe I'm wrong. I cannot tell you for sure. Yeah, but we had coffee. We decided to take a selfie because we didn't make a lot of them, unfortunately, during all this time. And last time I saw Vlad, December 2023, and it was crazy because I didn't plan to see him, but I was going from my brigade to home, and I was extremely hungry. And along the way, there is this big trade center. Back in 2023, after a while, they reopened that mall. It's like actually a mall. And there is a huge freaking area of attractions, like merry-go-round, like, you know, those things, which is usually like open air, but in that mall, it's inside a mall. It's not open air. It's crazy. And I have never been there, but I was driving home, and I noticed three most important letters in my life: K, F, and C. So I decided to stop there because I was starving. That very moment, I was literally Captain Starving in flesh, right? So I go there, and I'm literally sitting there eating plenty of chicken drumsticks. Carousel, yeah, thank you. Eating plenty of chicken drumsticks. All of a sudden, I see Vlad and I see his family, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. And he walks in with a kid, and I'm like, I can't believe it. And he's like, I can't believe it either. And we hugged, and we had a small talk because his kid had a birthday, and he was like 5 years old, something like that. 4 or 5. Yeah, and Vlad became a bit bigger because we're not getting younger, but he became a bit bigger, a bit more tattooed. All right. And we talked, and Vlad told me that he was in the Fury Brigade. So what is Fury Brigade? You know about the Assault National Guard, right? Brigades like Rubizh, Khartia, you name it, Burevi. So there was a separate brigade that was formed out of police officers who wanted to take part in the counteroffensive, in the assault, and it was a police brigade that was attached to the National Guard. I still don't quite understand how it works, because generally, if we're talking about mechanized brigades, you have artillery, you have anti-air weapons, you have like air defense battalions, you have reconnaissance, you have armored vehicles, tanks, armored battalion, things like that. In this very brigade, I'm not sure. Like, maybe they had attached units, like artillery battalion, for example, from National Guard, that was attached to them, and policemen basically served as infantry. Could be the case. I gotta check, actually, because I really want to know. So this brigade was and is called Fury, or Lють in Ukrainian, and he told me stories about the friends we knew, stories about the guys that we were deployed with. And then he told me that we nearly met each other in 2017 when my brigade was deployed in Verkhnyotorets, again, you know, old places. And my regiment, the police regiment, was deployed there as well. And they were operating in Avdiivka, Verkhnyotorets, and we went there on a mission with my brigade of the National Guard. And I noticed guys there with our logo on the side of the car. And I walked to them and I'm like, guys, where are you from? They go like Golden Gates Battalion. And I'm like, oh shit, do you know where the guys from the Kiev one are? They're like, they're just a bit further away. And I'm like, I tried to ask my commander about, like, can we go there? But we have a different task. So unfortunately, we didn't see each other. But we had such a chance in 2017. So we talk about that, and later, from what I learned from other guys, was that Vlad was known for being crazily brave. He was so brave, so you would consider him crazy, and he would always go cleaning trenches. Every attack, every assault involving the Fury Brigade, he would be there. He would go, I don't care, I would just go. This is the way he talked. He would go, I don't care, I would just go. You know, I give no damn. And many guys were, they consider him crazy because they consider him absolutely hostile or insane because of that, because he didn't care. He had absolutely no fear. Something broke, I don't know, maybe in Avdiivka or something, but he lost the feeling of fear at all. And he would go on assault every single time. Every single time. He was so brave, so he was considered crazy. And area of Toretsk, you know that in Toretsk, at this very moment, there's some crazy shit happening. The very place is mostly ruined, but the guys are fighting against Russians in the very city, inside of the town of Toretsk. And yesterday, Vlad lost his life due to the FPV strike, unfortunately. And this information was confirmed today, just a couple hours ago. I learned about it from other people. He lost his life due to FPV strike. It was a quick death, so it wasn't like, you know, painful bleeding through hours, because that is also nasty. But Still really hard to believe that it happened. Still really hard to believe that I won't see him in the messenger anymore. And so I know that a lot of my guys will be... The funerals will be available after they collect all the pieces, because the process takes time. And I know that the guys from my former battalion are there as well. And basically that is all information I have at this moment. So today I was thinking, recalling it over and over again. Again, because I'm getting freaking old or stupid, I have no idea. I have even forgotten his last name, but I remember it now. Vlad, this was his name. Call sign Borzy. And he was the bravest, the craziest, also the sweetest, because motherfucker knew how to talk to people. This is how he would manipulate you easily, or not, because he was always so sincere, you know, so you couldn't tell. And generally speaking, a great guy. So that's all I know at this moment. Call sign. Oh, naughty, but naughty not in the meaning of like dirty, naughty. Naughty in the meaning of like tough, you know, like almost like a bully, like that meaning, you know. I don't know why. Because his call sign was something that would never correlate with what kind of person he was, because he was neither a bully nor he was naughty. He was generally an extremely sweet person that would like furious, you know, something like that, furious. Um, yeah, kind of like bad boy. Um, which he wasn't. Which he wasn't. I know him so well, and he was always smiling. He was always laid back, relaxed. Uh, he was funny. Oh my god. We are in the school for cops, right? And we are shown AK, not AK-74, AKM for the first time. We were shown this stuff. And we pass it from table to table. We look at it, you know, and we pass it from table to other guys. And I'm sitting with Vlad, besides Vlad, behind the same table. He grabs the AK, just so you could understand what kind of person he was. He grabs AKM, and in the stock of the AKM, there is such like a round window, just the diameter of your finger. Like inside of that window, that is like a tiny space where you store a thing that looks pretty much like a dildo, okay? That is basically a container with your brushes, with all the stuff that you use to clean your rifle, all the tools. You store it in the stock of your rifle, of the AK. And the window opens inside. So you gotta just like stick your finger inside just a bit. And this stuff will fall out. And I look at the AKM, I'm like, well, okay, I will get more acquainted with this stuff later when it becomes part of me for like years and years. And I pass it to Vlad, and I'm listening to what the lecturer tells us. And after a while, I look at Vlad, and Vlad still holds the rifle. And the guys behind us, they're like, dude, come on, what happened? Like, give us the rifle. And I see that Vlad is getting like blushier and blushier. And I'm trying to understand what the hell is going on. And Vlad is like, it's stuck. I'm like, what's stuck? He's like, my finger's stuck. And I look at this dude, and he, for reasons, again, I cannot explain until today, he stuck his finger into the stock of the rifle, like really deep. And because that hatch opens inside and it has a spring pulling it outside, his finger his finger stuck in the rifle, and he couldn't pull it out because it's stuck dead. And I'm sitting there trying not to laugh really hard, and he becomes like red, okay? Um and I'm like, what the fuck, dude? Come on. And he's like, I cannot pull it out. Oh shit. And I just opened my mouth to call the lecturer, the sir wearing the police uniform. Um and he's like, oh shit, I did it. Oh my god. Oh, so it was funny. And I'm like, bro, most of our problems happen because you stick your thing in a wrong hole, okay? And it's true generally. That's life. That's how it happens. uh, then I remember there was this website called Tribunal. So 2015, around 2015, the orcs decided to make a database of Ukrainian Nazi, right? Us. So they would scan all sorts of social media, Facebook, anything, Instagram, anything. And they would collect information on people who were spotted wearing Ukrainian uniform, for example. And one time, just out of curiosity, I decided to check my page right there, and it was there actually. So they posted my real name and last name. Okay, they posted several pictures of me wearing a uniform of a policeman of Kiev 1 battalion. So out of 3 pictures, on one of those pictures was Vlad. And he was like sitting there holding a tiny flag of Ukraine. I made that picture, and we were on a patrol. And I'm showing him like this stuff, and I'm like, dude, that is you, I think. He's like, yeah. Or you become like more handsome, because Vlad was, oh my god, my friends, women loved him, Russians hated him so much. He was a great man. There were so many crazy and funny situations, actually. I cannot remember all of them, but you know, it was just so funny. Yeah. And worst thing, of course, that I was deployed with my brigade all the time, and generally army is eating all of your time. And I remember that every single time I was going home from a deployment, and It's like you're in a truck full of happy boys, okay? And they're celebrating, they're listening music, eating stuff, drinking cola, and dreaming of setting their local club on fire, getting acquainted with all of the local hookers, and drinking everything they have in the mall in like Irpin, for example, when they go back. And they go, Sarge, let's have a drink after we're back. I'm like, sure, guys. Yeah, why not? I've never had drink with my boys in the brigade because I was so sick of seeing the same faces for like half a year, for example. So we would go back to HOSTOMEL. I would say, thank you for your service. Goodbye. Sayonara. Don't kill yourself. Don't catch a crab, okay? And I would go straight home and I would not see them for like the next week or two, maybe. So I've never had a drink with my boys after a deployment, but with those guys in the police battalion, I've had beer on several occasions, but unfortunately, after I joined the brigade, the National Guard, years passed, but I really only saw Vlad several times after that. We texted a lot. We talked a lot on the phone. But we didn't see each other like in the offline much. And that accidental time when I saw him for the last time, December 2023, basically several months before I came here. That was the last time I saw him. And again, it was like we literally exchanged just a couple words because I think his son had the birthday, so he couldn't talk much, and I was going home. I had to be home really fast. I think I was preparing some video for you, by the way, and we just exchanged several phrases. He told me like the recent news about what is going on there in their area of responsibility, and he also told me that he's in the Fury Brigade now. So generally speaking, he could make a really good and safe career, like safe, more or less safe, in the Ministry of Interior. He had a lot of friends, a lot of connections. Again, he came from a rich background, but he dedicated his life to fighting for Ukraine and defending Ukrainian land since very, very beginning. 2015, actually. 2015. I don't know many people who were constantly in service since 2015, like me or Vlad. I don't know a lot of them, actually. A lot of people who served back then, back in those years, they would quit, they would travel, they would have family. 2022, they would return back to the army or join the police or whatever. But I don't know many people who served constantly, even though you could have choice. You could have a job, you could quit, you could make business. Vlad, again, he was a young guy, but before the war he had a business. He was trading something. I think he was like a retailer, okay? He had like a small retail store because he told me a lot of stories about it. It was his family business, by the way. He could do whatever he liked, and he always had, you know, those like habits of rich people, you know. For example, we are on a deployment somewhere, and I see Vlad somewhere like in the bathroom with a trimmer trimming his beard and then splashing some extremely expensive cologne, things like that. it was so fun, and he would talk about things like, like how to invest better, for example, or I don't know. He would tell me about the clubs that he used to go to, like it was so fun and so cool, and I think I will be missing him even more now. But that's his story. I feel obliged talking about my guys, especially those who pass away, because as long as we remember them, they are alive, they are with us, and they only die for real when we forget about those people. Okay, my dear friends, not many questions I answered today. What do I think about freezing the front line? I think that Trump can kiss my ass. And I would kindly encourage him to do so. That is what I think about freezing the front line. Because front lines cannot be frozen. The reason the front lines exist are because of Russia. And the only way for them to disappear is for Russia to withdraw from Ukraine or disappear itself. That's what I think. I think that Trump can kiss my ass, as well as JD Vance. That's what I think about it. Besides that, my dear friends, I am really, really grateful to you, because, I don't really have, and I didn't really want to talk about it today, but I'm glad I'm glad I did, because helped me to relieve those memories and probably vent a bit, and that is important. That is the reason why you should always have friends to talk to. And, guys, I'm blessed that I have such an amazing community like you. And I'm sorry if you have to suffer for being my viewers for that very reason. So thank you so much. Thank you for your beautiful words and wishes. Big thanks to our moderators as well. Also very supportive people. Big thanks to all the members of my channel. And I will try to find, I called one of my guys that I still have number, but he's there with the remains of Vlad, still there because they're still collecting him. But there is no connection with him. So I know he's there, but there is no connection, apparently because of the electronic warfare or something. But I will try to find if, apparently, of course, his family needs some kind of support. I will try to find any information about that, if they have a PayPal or something. And then I will post it on my channel in the community. So I will let you know. On that note, my dear friends, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being with me. I appreciate it very much. I needed this company tonight. So I'm very grateful to you. And we'll see you next time. And the main thing is thanks for standing with Ukraine, because this is the proper thing to do. See you later.